Hello again, and welcome to another of Mosaic's coffee breaks. Mosaic is, of course, a collaboration of the organisations shown at the front of this presentation, and that collaboration focuses very much on the ownership issues associated with mid-market law firms. And when we say ownership, we mean everything associated with ownership, mergers and acquisitions, partnership structures, succession planning, partner exits, and everything associated with all of those issues. I hope you enjoy this broadcast.
From Sure Some Solutions with us, and if you recall, John did a previous Mosaic coffee break with us where he talked about culture and its importance and his background and research in it. And what we wanted to do in this coffee break was to pick up on some of those things and to talk about how you use culture successfully in an M&A transaction in order to make it successful. We're delighted to have Howard with us, and unfortunately Tom, as we heard previously, was stuck in court, and Nigel sadly had to be somewhere else. But we've got the three of us, and that's, I'm sure, all you need to accompany your coffee this morning or afternoon or evening or whenever you're watching it. So welcome back, John.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
Thank you. So picking up on where we were, if you were talking to the management team of a law firm who are thinking of merging, they say, what should we do about culture? Where do you start?
Well, first of all, the leaders I spoke with in my research, which I referred to in the last podcast, were very clear that even if the finances worked and the numbers looked nice and the customer bases were going to improve or to be expanded, etc., that if the culture fit wasn't right, walk away. Very, very strong advice about that.
Absolutely.
Because the minute a culture clash of some description gets out there, clients will leave you. They will sense the dissonances, and they will not be so inclined to feel they're being dragged into an organization which is not the organization they previously worked with and has a different feel to it, or potentially has a different feel to it. So be very careful about that. It's not too difficult to learn about your own culture. You engagement surveys. I do an interview process. There are all sorts of ways in which you can do that. Finding out about the one that's being merged with, which inevitably, if you're buying it or acquiring it, there's a certain sense in which they are a little bit defensive about their details. They're going to give you the info that you need to make the sale, but will they have data on their culture and on their engagement surveys, etc.? Possibly. And it might be worth asking for it, but they might not be so willing to give it to you. If you can get hold of it, fantastic. If you can be allowed to research the culture in a formal way to look where the distances might be, let's face it, they let you see their books. So why shouldn't you see their culture survey? It's actually quite an important question. Then you can look for the distances, not so that you can become a glass half empty person and think, oh gosh, our two finance departments think completely differently about this or that, or the sales teams or the clerks teams have a very different way of doing it. Let's fall apart now. No, it gives you a very clear menu of things to address as you go through the first stage of the M&A. It gives you a chance to articulate to all concerned, we are united on a number of places, but we have still these matters to work through. A great cultural strategy is to be honest. And it's no point in being honest once the catastrophe and the meltdown has started to happen. Be honest before you go into any great conversations or great strategig pivots or transformations.
So that's fundamentally there, John. Once you've identified the differences, how do you align them, or how do you correct them so that they have that they work together?
There's a lovely word you have in the law. It's called mediation. It's when you bring parties together, not because there's a grievance, but because could be troubles ahead, and you problem solve together. There are intelligent people on both sides. Lawyers are, my sister-in-law's one, and extraordinary minds have these people. And there is a way of working through the problems. It will not only lead to a better understanding of how to manage a problem going forwards, it will flower or blossom into a conversation. And the wisest people I talk to did this. They say, don't complete your strategic plan for the new entity until you've had a chance to bring the other side in and talk them through the thing through with them, because that's the way you will get immediate buy-in. You'll get less of us and you and me and us and them, and you'll become a united body more quickly once there's ownership around a plan, ownership around the problems that cultures might face, and a proper understanding of how you're going to work through those things together. And I felt that was very important.
I absolutely fully fully hear what you're saying. I totally agree with you. I'm just thinking of the cameo performance that Mark and I do for our Wolf Shark Wife at Law Firm Mergers Fail, which is all about cultural differences.
Yes.
Now, in that scenario, Mark is the bumbling country gentleman in his tweeds. I'm the red-braced city CEO. And our attitudes are totally different.
Yes.
Now, if you try to get us to, in that scenario, if you tried to get us to talk, and yes, we talk,
Mm.
and wouldn't we end up somewhere in the middle, which was the worst of all worlds?
No, I talked to one very impressive fellow who did M&A, bought companies on a cyclical basis, and was very clear. Mark, you have to exit the company. It's very important. I'm afraid that's a very clear advice. If you let the founder who's
Yeah,
built that company up for 30 years stick around and have a £1,000 a month just to be the face of the company to those jolly old clients, if
right.
they will still go back to that old founder, they will still use that old founder's values, and they'll still think the old founder's around, therefore the old ways are still valid, etc. You must move on. And it's very important that A, you lose the founder, but B, you don't lose the superstars. Because every
Interesting.
company, middle management, the sales team, the leadership, somewhere, there are the superstars that you want to hang on to. And a culture which is open and honest and prepared to be consultative will enable the superstars of the acquired company to feel they have a stake and a place in the company going forwards. And therefore, make sure your superstars are observed. If you can't do a formal review of the acquired company's culture, get your vigilant hat on, get your eyes open, and when you visit, when you talk, get your middle leaders, get your senior execs, anybody else who's involved to be aware of
Mm.
attitude and mindset, so that you're always looking and always feeling the company out to make sure it could be right for you,
Yeah,
because you want to keep the good people and you want to make also make a fresh start.
yeah, I think that's really key. I mean, one of the things I noticed, we visit a lot of law firms, and I love just sitting in reception for 10 minutes because
Oh,
Yeah.
you learn so much, don't you? How are they interacting with each other?
Mm.
oh, I heard about a marketing company that was trying to bid for the British Rail marketing campaign. This is the age of the train, all those years ago.
Mm.
And they brought them in and sat the execs from the British Rail in the reception. And they said, the boss will be with you soon. The boss didn't turn up. The boss will be coming in 10 minutes. The boss still didn't turn up. Would you like some tea? They were given some cold or horrible tea, and they were getting furious by the way they were being treated. And then finally, after three-quarters of an hour, the boss came into the lobby and said, "That's how you treat your customers. That's your reputation."
Whoa,
No.
I was very
And they
excited
got a
yesterday.
contract.
My
Yeah.
advantage train was only 16 minutes late, which is ideal because it's just a minute past the delay repay. Result. Yeah, that's it. I think the other question I was going to ask you, John, is obviously what we find in a lot of law firm M&A is there's secrecy. Nobody wants to
Yes.
let the staff know
Yes.
until such time as it's been signed.
Yes.
And I'm always very keen to say to clients, the hard work starts now. But once
Mm,
you've signed on the dotted line,
mm,
you've
mm,
got to
mm.
make this work, and hence we're back to culture.
Yes.
So day one, where you sort of walk into the acquired firm and go, "Hello, we're the new
Yes.
owners." What advice do you have on dealing with that scenario?
Well, I think, first of all, it's not unusual for companies to keep this stuff very tight. They usually have a dedicated team set to one side who have the experience of making these things work, and keep things very, very close to their chest. But in day one, I think there has to be a strong personal investment by the top leadership of the acquiring legal firm. There has to be a personal connection and a sense of we recognize the value you bring to us. This is why we're doing this, because you're very good at A, B, and C, and we're very good at D, E, and F. And we're going to bring these two things together. Let's set out on a journey together. Let's create the future together, because you have gifts and we have gifts. And even though we're 10 times your size, we're choosing you out of all the options that we've had, because you have, we think, what it takes to enhance us, and we have something which is going to enhance you. And you have to do this diplomacy thing, which is genuine, authentic,
Yep.
and is then played out. I heard about the massive merger between, oh my goodness me, one of the huge IT firms in America and a small company. And they said to them, "You're great, fantastic. We've acquired you now. You can do what you like. You keep doing what you do. We won't interfere too much, etc." Guess what happened? They interfered. They didn't get it right. The good people left, and the merger was a disaster because there wasn't a follow-up of continued productive, appreciative dialogue between the two companies.
Yeah, I think that's good. Now, I don't want to end this on a negative note, but I think, it can work really well. But I think that's been really, really useful. And your little speech, I feel, I'm really excited to be joining into your merged firm there, John. I think, we talk about culture a lot, but to have an expert join us for this coffee break, researched it and knows it, has been really useful. And I've certainly made some notes. And I'm wondering
Thank
whether
you.
to add into my due diligence and results of culture surveys or staff engagement surveys, which I don't put in. So I think that's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from Howard or John before we wrap up and say thank you very much?
Not for me. I think that was absolutely fascinating.
That's been
Thank
lovely.
you. Thank you,
for
gentlemen.
joining us.
I think you're asking the right questions. I think these are critical matters, and if it can be made to work, you need 18 months. You need to be constantly monitoring through the process. You need to be constantly asking the culture questions. Don't stop the culture dissonance, resonance questions or analysis. Do it regularly as a pulse through that initial 18 months. Otherwise, it can become a ragged process, and you don't want that to happen.
Brilliant. That's a lovely point to end it. Thank you very much, John. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you,
You
Mark.
too.